So, you want to move to Japan, whether it be 2025, 2026, at some point you want to move to Japan. Well, here's a process that I went through to move to Japan and become a resident of where I live in Japan, that I am going to share with you all so that you guys can be prepared to, of course, move to Japan. So, let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and Happy New Year. It's been a while. It's been a while. But yes, of course, this is going to be about moving to Japan. So I wanted to do this because of all of the videos that I've seen, the TikToks that I've seen, all of the articles that I've read on how to move to Japan, it didn't give like a step-by-step. Of course, depending on where you're moving to, where you're coming from, it's going to have different steps, but kind of having some type of general synopsis or a general gist of like what to do and what to expect was something that I was looking for and I didn't see. Maybe there's other places that I wasn't looking, but I want to share with you all my process as to how I got to Japan. So let's get started. So first thing you need to do is get a job, okay? Or first thing that I did was get a job, okay? Of course, I got a job in teaching English, but if you want to come over here and work, you need to have a job that is going to sponsor a visa. If there is no job that sponsors a visa, you would want to look into that route, but I don't know that route. So first, get a job that sponsors a visa. I feel as though that getting a job and having a work visa is the easiest way to come in, that and student visa. But we're just going off of what I did. So getting a job here, you have many of options or many of job searches to look through. So you can use LinkedIn, I see Indeed, Gaijin Pot, Jobs in Japan, and there's also a lot more that you can use that can help you get into your that will help you find a job here in Japan. There are also companies that you can do remote work from anywhere in the world. However, I do not know how that works in terms of living in Japan while doing those jobs. So if that is something that you want to look into, let me know because I would love to try that. And so once you have your job, and they sponsor your visa, you are going to want to get your visa. Your visa, for if you live in Maryland like I did, I believe they say to wait about a month before you actually leave in order to process your visa. If you are doing it at the Japan Embassy in Washington, D.C., I believe they say it takes about 5 to 7 days to process. Then you can get your visa, then you'll be on your way. In my opinion, I don't like how long it takes for the visa to be how long I have to wait for my visa to be processed, because I would rather wait like months before, and then get on my flight. But they say to wait about a month before you leave, and then you get your visa. And you also want to make sure that you have your information from the job that is sponsoring your visa, so that they can have all that information and you don't have to go back and forth from the embassy to home, from the embassy to home. But yes, I would check with whatever state that you live in. I would check the requirements for that. You can go on the Japan Embassy or U.S. Embassy website, and they can give you all the information for wherever you live, because it varies depending on where you live. Okay, The next thing, or the thing that you should do before getting your visa, is start looking for apartments. Where do you want to live, or where is your job going to put you? Okay, so my job put me in Saitama, so I started looking for apartments in Saitama. When I started looking for apartments, the realtors told me that I had to wait again a month before I moved. I don't like waiting that close to my moving date because stuff can happen. Which it did, but stuff could happen, or you may not get the apartment that you want in the specific area or with the specific amenities. So I would say start looking about 2 or 3 months before you move, so you can know what you want, what amenities you want, where you want to be at. Now it may not be in that exact area, but it will always be somewhere around that area. And because the trains here are pretty reliable, it's not that big of a deal. If you are 10 minutes or 15 minutes outside of your desired location. But do look for the amenities you want. Do look for the type of apartments you want. Knowing how apartments are here in Japan, I know that they don't usually say one bedroom, one bedroom, one bathroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. So looking into what you want and looking into where you want to be is very important. Because that is where you're going to be living. And speaking on apartments and living, they have contracts that are usually for either 1 year or 2 years. I believe, based off of what my realtor was telling me, most contracts are for 2 years. So my apartment lease will be up in 2026. Which is good for me because it gives me enough time to actually settle into Japan. But with that being said, look into the leases and look into what exactly you're looking for. Because if you want something short term, like 1 year, or if you want something fairly long term, like 2 years, like I have, you would want to look into that. So, yes. So we have our visa, look into that. Most visas, and going back to the visa, most visas, work visas, last for a year. After that year, you will have to renew. And you want to make sure that your job will continue to sponsor you, or you have another job that will sponsor you, whatever that job is. With that being said, yes, most of them last for a year. Some other visas are longer, some are shorter, but for this one in particular, this one lasts for a year. So do be prepared to go to the U.S. Embassy when you're in Japan, so that you can have time, so that you can renew it. And I know that for renewals, it takes you have to go in by appointment. You just can't go in. But for renewals, of course, you have to do appointments, and I believe the U.S. Embassy is in Roppongi in Tokyo. So depending on where you are, if you don't want to make like a full excursion of it, it will be best to live somewhere in the Tokyo area or maybe Saitama area. But if you choose to do Osaka or even Okinawa or Hokkaido, you can do whichever one you want, but I believe the only way to do a renewal is within Roppongi. But yeah, so last thing that I want to speak on is finding an apartment. I know that there are many search engines that you can use to find an apartment. The easiest one that I used was Gaijinpot Apartments, and I was able to find a realtor and an apartment that was within my budget and close to where I will be working. So I went with Gaijinpot. Now, once you get into Japan, I know that there are a lot of other places that will that will give you an apartment. But I do know that there is some skepticism with apartments not renting to foreigners, specifically just because they're foreigners. So I would definitely speak to a realtor or speak to someone who is a foreigner and works with apartments to help you find an apartment that would be best for you. Okay, so now that we have our job, we have our apartment, and we have our visa, now it's time to go to Japan. So, however you decide to go to Japan, whether it be by train, boat, however it is, you have arrived in Japan. What is the first thing that you should do outside of like orientation and getting to know your area and things of that nature? The very first thing that you need to do is to get a Japanese phone number. Japanese phone number will allow you to do a lot more things, which is like open a bank account, get registered at your city hall, all of those things. So you need a Japanese phone number. With the Japanese phone number, I believe that there are a couple of popular phone carriers. I use Rakuten. There's also Sakura Mobile, Y Mobile, and I believe SoftBank has a phone service. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it does. With that being said, looking into which phone carrier is best for you is very important, especially if you are going to be using it to do several other things, such as open a bank account. But yes, first thing you need to do is open a bank account. Is get a Japanese phone number. And some companies will also give you a cell phone along with you opening up a phone number with them. But again, that all depends on which one you decide. Next thing you need to do is that you need to get registered at your city hall. So it's best to ask your realtor or ask whoever you are going to be staying with the address of your apartment so that when you go to register, you will have that information. You also need the information of your job, and I believe as well as your visa to prove, you are who you are and the duration of your stay. Now, of course, it's Japan, so many city halls do not have English-speaking people there. That's fine. That being said, you know a little bit of Japanese before you go, or it's going to be a little bit of a difficult process. When I went to go get registered at my city hall, it was a little difficult because I came here with only a little bit of Japanese. So knowing a little bit more, especially for scenarios such as getting registered at a city hall, is very important. But yes, you will get registered and then you will be issued what they call a Junyunkyo, which is kind of like they also call it a My number, which is kind of like your social security number, which is I think 10-digit number that they give you along with all your other information, like who you are, where you're from, a picture of you, and they also have your address on there. But yeah, they will issue you a My number or a social security number so that you can open a bank. That being said, they have the Junyunkyo or the My number, but there's also a My number card that you want to have, because I believe in 2025 they're going to be moving into the My numbers, which I guess is an easier system for them. I never actually looked into what a My number card actually does. I should, but I haven't. But Make sure when you get your Jumenkyo, you also ask for a My Number card, just because that's going to be a newer system that everybody is going to be using. That being said, once you have your My Number or your Jumenkyo, you want to get a bank account. The bank account is going to be, in my opinion, the hardest part. Your bank account, you have many banks to choose from. I have JP Post. Some people also use 7Bank, Rizona, SMBC, and many other bank accounts that I can't remember right now, to do their banking, to get their salary, to pay for things, this, that, and the third. Now, when you come here, getting a debit card specifically is going to be the hardest, because many banks ask that you've lived here for at least 6 months. So what do you do in between then? Well, what you can do is, with JP Post, when you open a bank with them, they will give you an ATM card, which is basically just a card for you to use at the ATM or at the bank, and you can get cash that way. And that's no problem if you like carrying around cash. Me personally, I do not like carrying around cash. I have a coin bag filled with coins, because after the months of using so much cash, I just accumulated so many coins. That being said, you can also go to places like SMBC Prestia or 7Bank, and they can issue you, I don't know about 7Bank, but Prestia, SMBC Prestia will issue you a debit card if you've been here less than 6 months. However, you would have to go in and set up an appointment for them to get that debit card, and you would need a certificate of employment. You will also need proof of who you are, and I believe they also asked me for my insurance card, just for extra documentation. But depending on what your needs are, they will definitely help you out. SMBC Prestia, as well as, I believe, there's another one that is an English speaking, or they have English support, will help you get a debit card in English. So you could definitely speak to either bank, or do some research on some English speaking banks, and they can help you set up an account. With that being said, now that you have everything set up, the first thing you also want to do is have your bills set to your bank. Now, because I have JP Post, I can set up my rent as well as my cell phone, so that it comes out of my account automatically. There are some, like my gas and water, I believe. Gas and water I cannot set up. So that comes through the mail, and I have to pay it at the convenience store. But having that set up will help you tremendously, just so you're not going back and forth, getting money from the bank and going to the convenience store. It's just a more simpler way of doing things. And considering that Japan is still kind of like a paper-based company, it will definitely help you. I have a file book filled with nothing but bills, just to make sure that I have everything paid. And if I was able to put everything on my JP Post account, it would make things so much easier. But that's neither here nor there. Do whatever is easier for you, but it is best to have most of your bills on your bank account, or set up on your bank account so it can be taken out automatically. So now that you have your job, you have your visa, you have your phone number, everything is all in line, you are now living in Japan. But what are some other things that you have to look out for or look forward to while living here? The language. You have to know the language. Of course, that's the number one. Now, I came here, or I'm still here, with, I'm lacking a little bit in my Japanese, but I am still learning. Of course, with being in Japan and be fully immersed in Japanese, it does help me a little bit. But because I am looking to get into a job that may require a little bit more Japanese, I do want to learn more Japanese. And in order to speak with people, of course, I need to learn some Japanese. So, that being said, I want to, it is best to learn a little bit more Japanese outside of your basic conversational Japanese, whatever that may be for you. Next thing is to have an open mind, because there are going to be some people that you meet or come across that have different values or they have different ways of life that you aren't typically accustomed to from wherever you're from. So to have an open mind and to be more adaptive in Japan is a must, because there are going to be certain things that you aren't used to, you aren't accustomed to, and it's okay. It's okay. Now, of course, that is not to say, hey, if somebody does something crazy, just let it go. No. But there are going to be some certain customs, or there are going to be certain things that you see and or do that you would have never thought of seeing or doing. And with that, you just kind of have to have an open mind and say, hey, I'm in a foreign country. This is not, what I'm used to. This is not where I grew up. And there are going to be certain things that I just have to let go. For example, when I went to Harajuku, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have spoken this, many public bathrooms don't have soap. So I have to be accustomed to carrying around hand soap and hand sanitizer so that I can wash my hands when I go to the bathroom. Versus being in America, when you go to a public bathroom, they have soap. So I don't have to carry that around. Another thing that not many people are upset about, but many people are surprised about, is that compared to America, there is a no tipping system here because they don't believe in that. Rather than in America, there is a tipping system. So many people, when they leave money behind, are shocked when a person comes out and says, hey, you left this. But yeah, I don't really do tipping either anyways. But yeah, there are just going to be some things that you would have to just get used to. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope that gave you a little bit more insight as to moving to Japan. And again, this is from my experience from coming from Maryland and moving to Japan. Now, if you want to know about going from another state to Japan or another country to Japan, I do encourage that you go onto your embassy's website, or Japan's embassy website in that country or in that state, and they can definitely give you more information on that. But anyways, this is my first video of the new year, and I do hope to continue to make more. I said that some past YouTube videos ago, and I started lacking, but I'm hoping to see you guys, and I'm hoping that you are ready to see me a little bit more. And with that, I will see you guys later. Bye.